Hey YouTube, let's talk expeditions. So maybe you're a new player or maybe you're just coming back to the game, but this is a new piece of content that Smilegate put out that actually allows us to find new ways and actually semi-efficient ways to be able to get more of the materials we need to make I-90 gear. So this entire intention of this entire expedition video is to talk about a piece of content that is truly built for late game players. Now, depending on how late game you are, will really determine what ones you want to pick, what levels you need to do, and how this whole thing's going to work. So let me go ahead and explain each individual one first, and then we'll go from there. So the three types are going to be the Blooming Snag Lich, the Brutal Pherus, and the Hopeless Symaqus. The way that these kind of work is every single one of them is going to need a different kind of team to get through it, and every single one of them is going to give you different rank up materials, and you can see sort of what those look like in the expedition depot. So if I click on this real quick, you'll notice that the Blooming Snag Lich is basically going to be giving you the neutral Reforge essence, but it's also going to be giving you the same Reforge essence that you would get if you were farming Golem. Similarly, the Brutal Pherus is the same, as it's going to give you some of that as well as some of the stuff from Wyvern, and then the Hopeless Symaqus, same idea back here, and then also a little bit of the stuff that you might get from Banshee. As of right now, they have not added anything in for A13 materials, so we're kind of waiting to see kind of what they decide to do with that. But either way, this is a great way to be able to get, as you can see, a lot of extra materials to be able to take some of your level 85 gear and turn it into 90 gear. So how do I even get expeditions at all? Well, the main answer is you just got to keep farming. You got to be farming Wyvern, Golem, Banshee, Azumatic. Any of the above will give you wanted posters. Once you have a wanted poster, it will show up either here when you're in the hunt screen, or it will actually show up as this red circle next to the innkeeper. The best way to do this is to literally just click on that. It will then show you ones that your friends have for you to be able to jump into. As you can see, I have a friend here with a level 2 Blooming Snag Lich, as well as somebody with a Brutal Pherus. If I'm wanting to put my own posters up, I would go to my wanted posters, which as you can see, I don't have any at the moment. But if I did, I'd be able to pick the one that was there, which would be one of those three bosses. Once you choose that, it actually allows you to pick whether you want a level 1, a level 2, or a level 3, depending on how difficult of a level you actually want to take on. And then from there, it'll allow you to invite guildies or people basically on that friends list to be able to take these on. So knowing that, let's take a look at each one of these individual bosses and see what they take to actually fight. So to start it off, we're going to talk about the Blooming Snag Lich. This boss is probably one of the harder ones of all of them because of the way the crystal mechanic works with the boss. So first things first, this boss does actually do more damage to the person at the front if they are not a knight. So thus we did put Lilius up here just to be able to take a little less damage up front. And Lilius is a great person here. So is Adventurer Ross. As well as probably Fire CC as well would do quite well. But all said, I do think Adventurer Ross is probably the best bet. And then also having AoE characters like Kayron when he has buffs up, and then as you can see, I have Tenebria here as well. I know a lot of people will also use Fire Charlotte just for the AoE. Basically, the entire purpose of this is every time you kill that crystal, which I believe that it has 5 skill nullify attacks before you can actually hit it, it will put a blue buff on you that will protect you from the Blooming Snag Lich's S3. The S3 puts a neurotoxin on all of your characters that after they attack, it will actually hit them for 90% of their remaining health. So it will never kill them on that next turn, but it sets the Snag Lich up to take you out as soon as his turn comes back up, where he actually is just attacking things. So timing it right to be able to have the crystal die just before the Snag Lich actually uses the S3 to make sure that it kind of nullifies that neurotoxin is the best bet for this particular boss. Otherwise, once you have that mechanic down, it's a relative tank and spank. The next boss we're going to talk about is the Brutal Pherus. This boss tends to be one of the easier ones for most people, generally because you're doing a lot of Wyvern farming for most people, and so you probably have a lot of built up water units. The way that this fight works is the boss will put himself in an offensive posture. When he does that, your team will be silenced, but your combat readiness increase is increased by 300%. So you'll see a lot of characters like Diane, you'll see a lot of characters like Celerina, things that are going to work really, really well to sort of push this phase faster to get through it. If you hit the boss 6 times when he's in offensive posture, it will actually get rid of the silence on your team and then allow you to use the rest of your abilities. The other thing to consider when fighting this particular boss is that whether or not you are in the offensive posture stage or outside of it, you do not want to debuff this boss with more than 2 debuffs. So you'll notice I have SSB's S3 turned off because really we don't want anything more than the target debuff and the defense break that we're actually getting here. Because beyond that, after you have 3, what will happen is the boss will transition and transfer all of those debuffs back to your team. And to be quite honest, most people can't survive that. So just making sure to get 2 debuffs up is basically it. After that, again, it's pretty much a walk in the park, no problem. Finally, as we talk through the Hopeless Symaqus, there's a couple of things to keep in mind for this particular one. Just like the last 2 bosses, once again, having a knight up front is actually going to benefit you. As you can see, I actually don't have a knight in front for my particular team, but that's because of the other mechanic of this fight, and that is combat readiness push. Things that are super important for this, you'll notice a lot of people will use green lots, they'll use Destina, they use lots of things that can actually basically push forward. You'll notice the one character on your team that gets a debuff that's undispellable, that looks sort of like a knockdown. And basically the way to get rid of it is you actually have to combat readiness push that person all the way to 100%. It will actually fall off. They will then be able to attack as normal. So Destina is working here. I actually end up having Idol's Cheer on her as well, so this is an option. I do think that a green lots and maybe putting up Charles up front, or maybe somebody else would potentially be better, but this definitely seems to work and gets the points that I need. The only other real important thing is being able to sort of like either survive or dispel off all of the bleeds on the initial cleave that comes through. But other than that, pretty straightforward boss, and just making sure that you have a team that can survive through all of that damage and then also get those pushes going. So now that we've gotten a chance to see how every single boss is fought, what now makes you determine which thing you should go into? Level 1, level 2, or level 3? Honestly, as quick as possible, a level 1 is one where you want to have the elemental advantage. So if you're fighting a grass boss, you want to make sure you bring in a fire team. And similarly to, obviously, if you had a water boss, you would want to have a grass team, so on and so forth. That's basically okay for most level 1s. Once you've reached the point in the game where you have 85 gear, you are actually farming pretty normally in either Wyvern 13 and or 11 plus, just kind of entering that realm. That should be fine. Once you go into rank 2, though, level 2 gets significantly more challenging because now you need to make sure that your characters can survive, but also they need to deal with all of those mechanics that we had talked about in level 2. As far as level 3s go, level 3s actually have the same mechanics, they just hit a lot harder, and the mechanics are a lot less forgiving. So if you make a mistake or your timing's off on the Blooming Snag Lich for getting the crystal down, you're dead. If you don't have enough general health on your frontliners for the Pherus, you're just dead. So a lot of it is gearing, a lot of it is being very, very precise on how you get it done. Once you complete any of those expeditions, though, you end up getting points towards your expedition depot, which was something we looked at the beginning of the video. But let's take a look here a second just to see what the actual rewards are that you get for completing these. As you can see, it requires 2,000 points to make it all the way down to the gold transmit stones on every single one of these, whether that's the Blooming Snag, the Pherus, or the Symaqus. You get all of these rewards every single time you reach different milestones, all the way up to 2,000 though. So how do I get those points? When you're completing a level 1, you get 40 points. When you're completing a level 2, you get 50 points. And when you complete a level 3, you get 60 points. So pull out your calculators, boys, because there's a lot to really know and kind of think about in there too, because when you complete a level 1 mission, you actually end up getting 2 of the resources, whether it's the manifestation stone or the other, depending on which one you're in. If you're in a level 2, it gives you 3 of the resource, and if you're in a level 3, it gives you 5 of the resource. So as far as calculations go, obviously being able to do it on level 3 gives you way more currency, especially for how much energy it costs, because energy cost for a level 1 is 16, whereas a level 2 is 18 and a level 3 is 20. So if you break that all down and you were to just take that on the 2,000 point amount that you needed to get to the end, you'd actually be looking at only 100 currency extra from doing the actual runs. For a level 1, you'd be getting 120 currency for doing a level 2. But if you were doing level 3s, you'd be up to 166.6 repeating currency, literally just in those 2,000 points of completion here. So, yes, you do get a ton more currency, and it costs you a lot less energy the further you go, the further down this road you go. But just having any 90 gear right off the bat and being able to just make 90 gear from this makes the energy investment actually worth it no matter which level you're doing. So make sure that you're actually sending these expeditions out. One more final quick note to think about: when you're sending out your expeditions, you count automatically as one of the people that is in the expedition. So if you're trying to figure out whether or not you need to spend the energy or not, once you put out a wanted poster, you're already on it. And whether you spend any energy to actually fight that particular boss or not, you will get the rewards if it's actually completed. So if you're just trying to decide, like, how do I save energy and how do I get myself some extra points, one way you can do that is inviting all of your friends in to either a level 2 if they're strong enough, or level 1s if they're strong enough for that, allowing them to complete your expeditions, and then you end up getting the reward for it. So while you're getting these accumulated points just to be able to hit the Expedition Depot reward systems, the best way to actually do that sometimes is actually just to put up your own and don't fight it at all. Just make sure that you have friends that actually can, and then you're actually spending your energy fighting your friends, giving you more expedition points to move towards actually hitting that 2,000 cap. Well, guys, I hope after all of this, you're not terribly discouraged. This is obviously a thing that has to be done every single month to be able to maximize that out. It obviously makes a lot of sense to be able to kind of go through your friends lists and go, oh my gosh, this particular person is either underperforming or jumping in and trying to sort of like snake extra currency off of us without actually doing anything. It really sort of starts bringing a lot of that stuff to light. So make sure you're keeping your friends lists nice and clean. Make sure that you're actually, when you're jumping in to help your friends with their expeditions, that you're actually doing what you need to do and not just being a drain to them. And then continue to just find new friends to sort of like fill in those gaps. Honestly, that's kind of a hard ask a lot of the time. So one of the things I would suggest in a huge way is find communities, whether it's in YouTube, whether it's on Reddit. We have ours on Twitch, and we're regularly finding new people to be able to come and hang out with all the time that are able to sort of meet those needs, as well as just for good community and friendship. We're always open to having more people like find friends and find people to be able to play with on our stream, and that's kind of why we do it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Have a wonderful rest of your day, week, month, year, century, all the things. I can't wait to see you guys in the next one. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Peace out, guys.